You can swear if you want to, but you can do your hair if you want to. But basically,
Who else is looking at me for both of those?
What's a video for?
we upload them to the YouTube. So the concept is that in order to I don't know if you remember Anthony Bassett, little squirrel that used to run around with Tony and Bob, and I don't even remember how we met him back when we were doing Lightyear Wireless with Bob and Jemmy and what's his name? Anyway, his concept is how to do the Gary Vee thing, and basically you record and you document what builds up and leads up to the execution of any given event.
So what we're doing is we're creating. We're gonna.
Oh, it's
we're
already
video
recording.
all of our stuff, and hopefully some of it ends up going viral. And it's mainly to get the word out and to get the ball rolling. What we want to do is we want to get all these small organic farmers, all of the homesteaders, and the people that are behind the good food movement. We want to create a co-op, but not just that.
I was gonna say, I feel like what you're looking to do is basically make it. Sounds like you're putting a co-op together.
Yeah.
Well, you had that idea years ago, Steve.
I've hung out with people that have done it too, and I have a bunch of Amish connections that they ran. I don't know if they were part of the actual co-op, but remember Mr. O'Connor, our shop teacher? His son lives out on Folks Road, right next to the Amish, and you can go buy chickens from him. That he has a chicken farm that he has going on with these people. So it's like real chickens,
The whole idea is to get everybody communicating, and ultimately what I would love to see is instead of everybody trying to grow the same thing, actually start to communicate and I'm doing this, I'm doing this,
exactly.
and adjusting, but making food affordable but safe. And then the other thing that I really am compelled fairly strongly is to define organic, because one thing that I don't think a lot of people realize is that Whole Foods
It's not organic at all.
all their stuff now is coming from China. They say it's organic, but is it?
Yeah, they I remember when the Obama movement was fighting it's not fair that what about the places that ain't organic? They're gonna walk right by our stuff and buy theirs. Well, that's the idea. They pay more. They have the right to pay less and get non-organic food. But who would fight for that? Who would think that's a good idea?
The true shame is you have to pay more for non-poison food now, and that's what we want to change.
Well, that poison costs them money.
Move that tissue box out of your frame.
I mean, how much money do you think it cost to put fluoride in our city water? That isn't something that they have to pay to cart that to do that. It costs them money. So when you think about, it's going to cost more money to get organic food, but then in a sense, no, not if it's local, and it doesn't have to go through all of the. And that's another thing. You're talking about nationwide. What does nationwide mean? Because nationwide is going to take the organic out of it if you're dealing with people on a national. I mean, I think I don't understand what does nationwide mean.
Well, I used to work for a company, and we'd eliminate the middleman. We'd order and import directly from overseas and take it out right out the back of our truck.
This is something where you're talking about food that isn't going to be shipped around. You want organic food, you got to deal with local people.
We've had this debate, and honestly, initially it is going to have to be a regional setup, but with the rise of Amazon and now we have food delivery services as well. The technology is starting to catch up.
I get that. So you could mail
What
food to people. But
What exactly are you asking? You're asking what the format
what
is.
Steve is saying is, and he's right, And that's why this appeal thing is
an
scary.
important thing in going back to eating good, because you can't. I mean, there's nothing organic about the milk we drink. It's not even real milk anymore.
Yeah.
They kill everything in it that's alive that makes it milk. They put stuff in it to make it more white. They put all this shit in it, and it lasts a month and a half, and they can ship it across the country, across the world, across the sea.
It's called pasteurized,
And
right?
it's still, but it goes way beyond pasteurized. It's not even really milk anymore.
So here's my thought.
Real milk, if you want to serve real milk to people, you only have a few days. And just like organic vegetables,
What if you had something that was like a DoorDasher type of idea?
that would be a good idea.
And
That's
that way
what.
you got like an app you can set up, and they're tied in with the DoorDasher type of thought.
Well, what did the CSA that you knew about? What did they do? How did they do it?
I would have to.
Okay,
get
well,
that
the CSA, because
information.
I wasn't part of the business, but
My
I
sister was part
was
of it.
part of the growing, and my dad pitched in vegetables, but we had to put a disclaimer on it that our vegetables, because farms have farmed our property for so long that the garden in my dad's yard isn't organic, because they've conventionally farmed the fields that's 30 feet away from my dad's garden, so we can't really call it organic, but we put our food in it too.
All right, so
So
that is
people
one
bought
thing
shares.
that we need. That is what we've been trying to
Hold on,
talk
let me
about
finish
is-
really quick. Okay, a customer will come in and they buy shares. Sorry, I got carried away on that. Customer comes in and they buy a share. A half a share means you get a delivery every week, 52 deliveries for a year. A share, I think it was like $800 for a half a share, which isn't very much when you consider they bring a basket to you every day. Well, they call it a basket. It's a couple bags. Whatever is spiking right then, tomatoes, radishes always come first, cilantro and shit like that. But they try and balance it out, and they get a group of farmers that grow primary. I grow cucumbers, I grow zucchinis and squash. I focus on the squash and pumpkins, and then depending on the elevation of their, like if you notice, my dad's got 3 gardens at 3 different elevations, because he likes to grow, and they grow better at different elevations. People figure out what they're going to grow. They have basically a share means you get a delivery every week. Every Sunday, somebody stops at your house. Well, depending on what day, people pick different days. But I remember because I went on a drive with Pete, and we went out and delivered people's groceries to them, and it was like what you do is you drop off the groceries, and they give you a piece of paper saying if they had any problems with anything, they got to just simple questions, but is there anything they need specifically that you can try and make sure is in their basket for next week? Half a share gets you 2 bags of vegetables a week. A full share gets you like 4 bags of vegetables, enough to feed a bigger family. And that's how they did it.
That's the co-op you're speaking of.
That was a CSA that
CSA.
Community Sponsored Agriculture Co-op.
So is that a thing that goes on community to community to community? Is that like
it's just that people do them themselves or not. I think they do them as a non-profit. I don't know how that works, but it isn't done like, it isn't like community just means it's a group of people in the community get together
Community
Right.
supported agriculture.
and it's not ran by like a municipality or something like that. It's ran by it's ran by a group of farmers that get together and just make an agreement that I'm going to grow this, you grow that. As a backup, I'll grow some green beans. My dad gives away his vegetables, and we still have 100 watermelons go bad, 500 tomatoes go bad.
Wow.
We could do things a little differently, where he just
So you have a surplus
my dad
spot,
doesn't
too.
care if his tomatoes grow where they're on the ground in a way where they're going to go bad, because he has so many of them. But if he could just, or I could help him, because he's going to be gone soon, and I'm going to be getting all his gardens, and I kind of need a reason to kind of inspire me to want to be part of that, because that's all my dad does. He eats fish. He eats the fish that he catches. He's got one freezer for fish. They got another freezer that's full of frozen blueberries. They got so many blueberries. Frozen blueberries, frozen gooseberries, and frozen shit out of the garden. And other than that, all he eats is Twinkies. He eats some crap food, but he eats good food every day. He's, you know,
He doesn't look his age.
he's starting to really feel it, because he was in his 70s now, but he
So are we on the same page overall? My thought is that, hey, everybody in the nation needs a website that they can go to be able to plug in and grab a local provider. Whether it's DoorDash or Pick It Up, that's the basic foundation, right?
Yeah.
And in order to get on that listing, they have to meet the food definitions that we define. That's the long and short of what we're doing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay.
In a nutshell, I would like to have one section that educates so people understand. So like his dad is growing organic, but he is correct because he's close to that commercial field. They manufacture this stuff intentionally so that it starts to take out the stuff around it.
yeah, it's made to pollinate plants outside of its grow area. So they'll
sterilize.
farmers will plant all their fucking Monsanto beans, and you'll have a farmer 2 miles away that says, I don't want that crap on my property, you know. I'm a traditional farmer, and it's the way God made it. It's the way it's supposed to be. It ain't supposed to be controlled by a company out there that's a corporation that gives me a seed of a plant that we can cover with poison, and the poison absorbs into the food people eat. But we don't care because, don't look bad. And Monsanto, their product can blow onto these farmers' fields that are around them, and the pollination of that species that they have planted will contaminate the farmer that doesn't want it. Next thing he knows, he's got Monsanto beans growing in his garden, and then all of a sudden he's got to pay Monsanto because, hey, whoa, that's our strain you have over there growing. He's like, well, I didn't want it, and they said, well, it don't matter.
Yeah.
That's our genetic that's in that, so pay up.
Yeah.
And then they got lawyers that'll shut that farm down if they don't pay them for it.
That's crazy.
And if that's fucked up. If you're a farmer and your cow gets loose and goes out in front of a car, you're responsible. But if you're a Monsanto farmer and your shit blows over and contaminates somebody's organic food, that's not Monsanto's fault. That's
Nature.
That's what a lot of farmers are dealing with.
Main thrust to grab some sort of control back over the food supply,
Yes, absolutely.
to be able to help define it and to be able to put some power back into the hands of the people, right?
Yeah.
So this is largely a non-profit kind of venture, even though we're going to have to pay our bills.
It's that type of, but there's also money, and all nonprofits have money in them.
Yeah, we're going to have to
With this one,
pay our
this one,
bills, but
we're almost going to be like a glorified phone book in a certain aspect because all these co-ops,
Kinda like a
we're
directory.
gonna we're a directory,
You
a
get
directory.
like a
So all these co-ops
bio-
will participate.
Exactly, because you get you got a bunch of bean growers over here, and then you got these guys over here are growing asparagus and whatever else. You get to a certain point where you're not going to want to use this bean guy over here. He can network with and these people. So in that sense, I can see your national thing growing out.
isn't that the advantage of these corporations to keep us from combining and compounding?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, yeah, and
Because we can't get it together.
You gotta consolidate them into one company. We'll have it in China, so one place does everybody, and it's like that's what's ruined everything. That's why Dollar General moves in and everything
So
around
one of the
it.
things that we foresee in our setup is that the farmer will be able to have his own individual page where he can come in and walk around and say, this is how I compost. This is my food, and even have his own little You know, a place where he can spout off about Monsanto and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
it'd be nice to have a little organized thing where you can have in a
And
in
if
a,
we
in a new
get just
city,
a little
a
bit, yeah.
little like Hanover. Once a week, we go to some place and just set something up in their park, have some vegetables for sale, maybe some free things, and somebody that's willing to spread some information, and you know.
Because the way things have gone on is it all goes to market now. The bean farmer takes it to the co-op, and the co-op sells it to the manufacturers. You know, we've got Kellogg's now. They come in with millions of dollars. They go in, they buy up this grain from the food co-op, which is prepaid
So you're
to...
basically putting it back into the
We're taking the middleman out.
all the
Exactly.
middlemen.
That was the reference to the
That's
to
you know,
the company I used to be involved with.
Kellogg's would never come to a place like us. We would never want to deal with them anyway.
Yeah.
Like, you know,
Yeah.
like we want
But the
people that want
reality
good food on
is-
their table that they get in restaurants too. You know, every
Yeah,
time I
the
pick
chef, you
Morels, if
get
I
it-
pick
get
enough,
into
I
the-
sell them to the
restaurants.
Common Grill up in Chelsea buys my Morels. You know,
I didn't
See?
know that.
you know.
Well, so this kind of grew from my concept of the mushrooms. Because the mushrooms, everybody thought I meant psychedelics. I didn't mean psychedelics. I meant mushrooms.
Yeah, there's
But, you know, it scales so nicely because, you know, I was thinking, okay, well, this person could grow these mushrooms and then these, and so that there was not one specific strain that everybody was growing. But if you take it out further, I wanted to try, you know, the reason I went down this path is because I saw all those places burning to the ground, all the food processing facilities. It's obvious they're trying to create scarcity.
They
Bill
are.
Gates buying up all of our farmland, you know, so you shouldn't have to pay so much for good food. And so that's
and they shouldn't make it so fucking hard for people to get food. They're making it. They're purposely at this point. They're telling Amish people, you're not allowed to sell your cheese. Can't do that no more. That cheese is
because
it's
it
not
has
safe.
active cultures and
It's not
not
safe.
by Pfizer.
And the Amish people prove that it's better for you than any of the crap in the grocery store. But they aren't the ones that run everything, and they're fighting that right now. There's a big thing going on. With
Well,
What
they're
about
partially
education,
responsible for
you
Trump being
teach-
elected.
Teach the people to, like, I see videos online how to make your own cheese, and yes, it's
Yeah.
simple ricotta or something.
yeah,
but
or
the
mozzarella's easy. We've made it before.
But that's
Teach
your
people
division.
how to-
That's your division.
Teach people how to make stuff, and that's where I would like to have like a video teach how to.
Yeah.
But also go out onto the farm and teach the kid or adult how to plant things and grow their own vegetables and whatnot too.
Yeah.
If that's what you're.
So the reason that we wanted Grace is because Grace is practicing what she already has those practices.
Yeah.
So we want to start a series where we go around. I want to talk to Jesus, not
Andy, his name's Andy Grassi.
Andy. The guy's name everybody calls him Jesus because he looks like Jesus.
He never wears pants. He always wears some boxers. He usually no shirt, pair of boxers. He was 18 years old, and I think he come from a lot of money. And he's like, I could spend the rest of my life working to pay for a house like this one. Or I could say, fuck it, I don't want a house and just live the rest of my life doing what the hell I want, enjoying life, and sleeping outside every night. And I'm not sure what he does this time of the year, but I went to his place. He has a pole barn with shit in it that he grows all kinds of vegetables. He makes his own kimchi. He makes his own tabbouleh.
Well,
He
we
has
went and
all
visited
kinds of good
his
food.
stall, his plants that he had. I mean, he had stuff from all over the world that he
Yeah.
was growing.
This kid's he plays like all these different flutes. He plays a handpan like an angel.
Mm-hmm.
It's like he's got this stainless steel handpan.
That's who we want. That's why we want to do the video
But-
series.
I kind of I didn't want to get a hold of those people. I know that probably him too. Grace is the kind of person, and I've even heard her say this. She don't like wasting her time with bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody talks. She's like, a lot of people come and want to do all these things with me, and it's like, I'll have time for it if I see something that is real. you know, and that's why I want to know. Because if I just go to her and sound like I got same idea everybody else has, you know, what's gonna,
Yeah.
you know, what's
It's
gonna
gonna
make her? Is it gonna be something that's gonna compete what she's doing, which it isn't. But
Yeah,
you
there's
know,
there's no real competitive element to this. This is
she's
just
really,
Working
I
together,
think she's
networking.
really weird about what her label, not label, her name, you know, because she makes products. She has all kinds of products that she sells. You know, who she contaminates that with, you know, or whatever. So
You are who you associate with.
exactly, and I want to make sure that she's the kind of person that I know on a level that I don't want to take something to her if it just looks like I just wasted her time.
so. What is it that you would take to her if you were to just go to her right now? What would you say?
I don't know what I'd say.
Let's
That's why I come here to find out what
let's
we're doing,
define that a
because
little
we're
bit.
talking about the same thing right now.
What would she ask you? She'd ask you, "Hey, why are you here?"
Well, she's like, so what do you want from me? What do I bring to the table, and what do we?
Tony, answer that.
What we want from her is we want to interview her. We want to interview her because she's doing what we want to educate people. If you look at not so much the other social medias because they're homogenized, but if you look at X, people are actively talking about being sick and tired of being fed poison and not understanding. You know, you have all these people that talk about Bill Gates and his appeal, and they don't understand. So what I envisioned was educating and setting up a network where people can come in and know exactly what they're getting into. So, safe food, but not just safe food, a forum where they can come in and talk, where they can learn. You know, traditionally, other than farmers, you know, and some like wood craftsmen, traditionally people keep their secrets all to themselves. They don't want to share. Whereas a farmer realizes that they can't feed everybody and they're open. So
That's funny. Pinoka and Deerwalker at the, what do you call it? The
Divine
Pines. She was given this little talk, and she was talking about how she makes cedar oil is one of the things that she makes.
Mm-hmm.
And this woman that she, you know, had mentioned, she come into her place where she had some things in there for sale. When she was dropping them off, this woman said, "You're the one that makes this." "Oh, I wanted to talk to you." So she's like, "I was very excited to teach this woman exactly how I did it." It's our tradition from, she's Ojibwe, you know, Native American. So she teaches this woman how to, you know, that's something that's to her not a secret. And then she asks the woman, "How do you do it?" And she says, "Well, that's a secret." And she was like, what does that mean, you know? Because she's like, the way I was raised, that's, things like that aren't secrets. Things like that are important to share and spread the knowledge of. You know, it's one thing if you got a pie recipe, but you know, and you know, you realize a lot of businesses kind of do that for a reason. You know, and keep their things
Proprietary.
They keep their things like, we know how we do this, so other people can't take it away from us. And
It's how
it's
makers
sad that we
mark.
live in a world like that. And
monetize
Native
it.
Americans they still haven't given into that. There's so many things about the Native Americans that people don't understand.
Well,
Like
that's
the Native
because they didn't
Americans
get to write their history.
they don't, all of them I've talked to do not have a problem with the United States at all. They're like, you know what United States did? They made it, that was horrible what happened back then, but who would, I mean, they were used to being fucking torn to pieces by other people and other tribes coming in and tearing them down, you know? They lived in savagery. And, you know, there's a lot of shit with the government that's bad, but they're like, United States is a beautiful place. A lot of them were excited to go fight for the country. They're like, you know, that's what we do, you know, it's in our nature. We like to defend and go out and go to battle. That's what we're born to do. All the boys, you know, can't wait to grow up so they can have that part to tell their grandkids about the wars that they fought. And, you know, and
It's funny you
the
bring up
secrets
the
that want to be
Ojibwe.
shared. When we went to Peru, it's not secrets. You know, I'm thinking these old people are looking at me like I'm some American, you know, snob that's down there to try and, you know, invade their secrets that they have, and these aren't secrets. They're like, you share this with anybody that you can share it with, because the world, you know,
Needs it.
the world needs it. We all need to come together, and by keeping things separated from people, God doesn't want that. And it's not good for the earth, and it's not good for anybody. And they're like, we want the whole world to drink our medicine.
I kind of feel that everybody at this table has the exact same calling, and that is to be of service. And that's, you know, that's the whole idea behind this. You know, there is a problem. You know, like you said, the American way is to not share, you know, what makes you healthy, you know, and I don't like that. I wanna make a difference. You know.
Funny, it was on The View the other day.
You watch the View.
I didn't watch The View. I was watching Dave Rubin, and he played this clip where they're really having a problem with Kennedy, because they're like, you know, he thinks we're just gonna be a nation of rotten teeth. I mean, that fluoride is needed.
I heard about the fluoride.
We need that fluoride, and we are going to suffer. Little kids are going to suffer, and they're going to have rotten teeth. And I'm thinking, is this woman that ignorant?
Take the soda pop away.
Fluoride was
Sugar.
proven back in like '79 that it's not good for your teeth either.
You know
It's
what's
not
good for your teeth?
Any
Xylitol.
Brushing your teeth.
apples are good for your teeth. Brushing your teeth, actually, toothpaste isn't as good for your teeth as everybody thinks.
No, it's not.
Eating an apple every day is better for your teeth than chewing or than brushing, because there's the acidic, like the citric acid or
Well, if
whatever.
you think about it, when you eat an apple, you gotta pick it out of your freaking.
Yeah, and the little pieces you pick out got all the shit.
So let's think
Getting
about
off the subject.
how it goes and how it rolls out. So in my brain, we have to create a video series. We have to popularize whatever movement we're going to do. At some point, we're going to be in front of RFK. At some point, we're going to be in front of probably people that are going to help us make a difference. We're going to be the go-to food network. That's pretty much what my brain says. So it's a matter of having the proper website set up to where people can go. They can lock down local providers. They can also take on an active role, like Steve says, in staggering food production. Bob has the JSON maps. I don't know exactly what those are for his pothole app. But it would be a similar concept where people within a certain grid would be responsible for certain different things to be able to have a local food production.
Well, as we add the co-ops, they're going to put their radiuses. So eventually, you should be able to look at a map and see which co-ops overlap into your area.
Yeah, and you drive
But
to
I
the
don't
next
just
co-op
want
or
co-ops,
whatever.
though. I also want meat producers
Did you
as
guys
well.
discuss the Seventh-day Adventist?
Well, Steve hasn't been in the benefit of the meetings. There was a couple of groups that we identified that we want to affiliate with. I don't know how we're going to be able to do it, but the Amish is an obvious. I figured maybe through the Mennonites, because the Mennonites are a step down. You know, they're not as hardcore. They use power.
I can go to the Amish people and talk to them.
Well, I figured they got to be open to it, because here's the thing: they got to have a communications network, because they won Trump, Pennsylvania, so they have got to be communicating for all of them to come show up in their horses and buggies. But we figured that they would be a linchpin. The Seventh-day Adventists. I don't know if you are aware of this, but the Seventh-day Adventists are a vegetarian-based religion. They actually, as their per percentage-wise population of octogenarians it fucks up the bell curve for everybody else. They live longer because they eat healthier, and we figured again they would be a good one to associate with, as well as the Latter-day Saints. The Latter-day Saints have been into prepping and food storage and that for years. I'm not saying that all the other denominations don't do something too, and as we find the ones that are hardcore, I say that we just keep pulling them in. I don't want this to be a religious organization. I want this to be an organization of service to help people learn and get good food. And if that's what you're excited about, then, you know.
I mean, I think food is that's my love language with women. That's my love language with my family. I love sharing food with people.
Me too.
And and it's important. My whole experience of life is eating good foods. I remember my grandpa Vansna, every time I go to his house, he had goat's milk that he saved for me because everybody else wanted his cow milk, and I like this goat milk. He's like, I got goat milk, give me. And there was all kinds of that my whole life, and to not have that, for my kids not to have that,
It's a damn
That's going to
shame.
be a topic
It's-
on the culinary exploration.
it's hard for me to look at that and think, my dad, every day you go to his house any day in the summer and he's got something on the stove that nothing but shit out of his gardens. What's the thing he cooks a lot are turnips. You ever have turnip?
Very rarely.
He fries them he puts them in a pan like potatoes. He cuts them up and then he mushes them like mashed potatoes. It's like, wow, it's got kind of the taste of a radish, but it's not as bitey as a radish.
So you have a video after you got the CSA, right? And you get your share of vegetables that week. And boy, turnips came in this week. And here's a video. What to
Shows
do
you
with
how
your
to prepare
turnips.
them. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what to do with turnips, and let's interview your dad, maybe on a video or something. And
Simon Cook.
Just show
Or
a couple
him
of
give
quick,
me a
easy
recipe.
ways
Yeah.
to cook them, and if people want, can have maybe even sponsor kind of a little event where come down, you can taste it, you can watch how I do it, you can,
Oh, and also another, just to back up, I wanted to let you know, one of the things that I was, something people don't like to do is eat alone or cook
Yeah,
for
you
one
talked
or whatever.
about that.
And
having
so,
a thing
yeah,
where you
like
can
a-
like Zoom some
yeah,
food or
and just
whatever.
have like a Zoom meeting where you can just have dinner together.
Oh, it's just something for our diction.
So we get back to when you go to Grace. If you were to get back to that, I would suggest you say, hey Grace, we really don't know what we're doing, because if she's a keep it real type of person, then keep it real. But Grace, what we're really trying to do is figure it out. And we started to figure what we wanted to do was just have some certain video series with little interviews. So Grace, I'd like to just interview you on some basics. And just start her out with a basic interview, basic information. Hey, what's wrong with the food programs today? What do you think is going to make a difference for tomorrow? All that
she's
stuff.
one of the reasons I'm excited about her is she is heavy into holistic healing. And that excites me because that education is not available. You see all these videos and it's at the end of the video, they don't tell you what the secret is. They talk about, this is the key to this and buy my stuff.
Yeah. Do you think that for Grace that there is an end game though? I think if you're trying to go and tell her that, hey, this is what we're doing and why, it's going to have some value. But I think trying to involve her or to sign her up, I think it's a little premature.
Well, I didn't know what we were asking her for.
Oh,
I'm sure if
yeah.
we said, hey, we want to do this, we could use your help, your
We're in the
ideas, your
developmental
advice.
stages.
If it will promote her, because one thing she does at Camp Compost, I was there. I built a couple mushrooms for them. Tony helped me that year actually when
When
the
we
first
thought
year
it
I
was a
went.
music festival.
And she comes around. I see this group of people. There's probably 50 to 70 people in this group walking around. and they stop right beside me, and I'm working on Veda at the time because I was still building there. And there's these plants growing next to me, and I didn't know, but Grace was like giving her, she had her class, and she was walking around showing people, you know, this is what we did. We took this compost and we mixed it with this, and you know, you really want to put this in this type of lighting away from this and this, and let it set for like 6 months. And so she was like giving a class, and she's good being in front of people. You notice if you go to one of her events, you know, she's on the microphone explaining what's going on. She has music festivals that are beautiful. Like they include food. You know, everybody that goes, you get lunch and dinner, and it's like this huge buffet of just, you know, her own, you know, hog that she had processed by her neighbor, and you know, it's all this good shit. And it's good energy, but she's right there. I kind of get the feeling she likes that part. She kind of eats that up. She's a Leo. She likes
being in front of crowds.
She's good at being in front of crowds. Yes.
One thing that we'll have to deal with at some point, maybe not now for the planning, but I think that we're going to continually add partners. And I mean, we could do it in a corporate structure where we have shares that we can dell out. I don't know how we're gonna make that work. Right now, as far as I'm concerned, I'm open, so if there's somebody else that is logical to pull in, this is the core group. There's one more person, she's sick right now, you know her, Shirza. And if there's anybody that you think that might
I'm gonna go
benefit
reach
the
out to
group.
Pete. Pete was my best friend. He was good friends with my dad too, because once he hired us because he knows all these people with greenhouses, and he kept coming to us saying, hey, we need a trenching job, and my dad and I would be working in a trench with a bunch of people, and it'd be funny because they would light a joint. My dad would be like, you know, I never thought I'd like the smell of weed, but he's like, being in this downwind of all them hippies, he's like, I get excited them lighting a joint because it makes it smell a little better. Him and Pete became friends, and I go to their house one day. My mom and dad are gone, so I go up and I'm doing something, and here comes, they pull in the driveway. My mom and dad got Pete with them. He's all drunk as hell, and they went fishing as he stopped at their house. Pete's like, what are you doing, Carl? My dad's like, oh, I'm going fishing. Pete's like, well, I'm going with you. And my mom and dad are like, okay, well, I guess you're coming. And he grabbed his case of beer, and out in the raft he went, and that was funny. And then COVID come around, and you know, Pete, his parents are both teachers in Ann Arbor, so you know that his political thing kind of was in that direction anyway. And then when COVID come out, his wife told him, first she kicked Chadwick out because he said he voted for Trump. She kicked him off the property, told him never to come back. Chadwick told me about that, and I was like, are you for real? He's like, yeah. He goes, I wouldn't be surprised if it happens to you. I was like, I'm not going to tell him how I voted. It didn't matter. The next time I went there, Pete's like, Steve, I'm sorry, man, with this fucking shit going on. He had a mask on and shit, and he's like, nobody else is allowed on. I got 3 people that are allowed on this property right now, and you're not one of them. So, sorry, no disrespect. That's the last time I talked to him. That was 3 years ago.
That's rough.
Yeah. And me and all of his friends, Bert, who's a good friend of mine, and Bert's another guy we might want to, I don't know if you know Bert Hicks. He's like this big tractor working on guy, farmer. He used to, he's worked on my vehicles a bunch of times. I thought maybe that's how you know him, but
I've probably met
he
him
has
for
went
years.
over to Pete's a couple of times to do work for him. He's like, they don't. And he's seen I given him one of those buttons. I see they got a button press over there. One of those buttons with Whitmer, and I made buttons of Whitmer, and
yeah.
she had a Hitler mustache.
Whitler.
Whitler, yeah. and I gave one of those to Bert, and it was in his truck. And when he picked up Pete, Pete was like, "Oh, I bet you so you've been hanging out with Steve, obviously," and pointed to it. Bert laughed. Bert didn't even know who it was. He didn't know who he's like, I didn't know who was on it. I thought it was one of your ex-girlfriends or something, and you did that, and I thought it was funny, but he didn't know it was. He didn't follow the politics at all. He didn't even know who Whipper, whatever.
So where we're at right now, Steve, is we have the domain purchase. Matt has already started knocking out base structure. It's kind of Matt's jam is digital, digital marketing and AI in that. Social media, we created the social media accounts. We haven't started populating them yet. We're still in the process of creating structure. Amy is, her thing is she's really good at videos and stuff like that. So that's kind of where
slow on the video editing, but
kind of where she falls in the category. Me, I guess I'm just passionate.
Well, you're strong as an ox. You can lift stuff, and you can you can tell people what they're doing right and wrong. You can stand around and say, "Hey, that goes over there."
he brings people together.
I do bring people together.
That's where I come into it. I'm like, I ain't got time to waste a bunch I ain't got time to waste time. But I want to be part of anything that it involves people having to come together to do something, bringing people together. That's
The crazy thing
I got
is
a spot
initially
in my
we're
heart
not
for
going to
that,
make a bunch of money, but long term, that little bit of a lot could be staggering. Could be staggering. And there's nothing to say that we can't throw some events to act as fundraisers as well. I had this concept, and actually, I mentioned it to Joel, and Joel seemed interested. It was a harvest festival that the format, because I was trying to help this place. We got all these nonprofits through here, and so I designed something to market all that, but they're not interested. So I say we just take it, one step further. I mean, there's the fairgrounds.
I'm sure there's going to be plenty of people that'll jump on board and participate. But for the basic things that we're talking about, it's basically going to be set up our video interviews, right? Mm-hmm. Get in touch with some farmers and just flush out some basics. I think pretty much keep it simple at first and see where it goes. When we do get into the evolution, we're going to have to figure out a website, and then we'll just start plugging these farmers in where they go. I think it's going to naturally happen.
Yeah.
I think it's just going to be easy.
I guess we just be mindful of a website that looks like what we want. Because when I did the strip mall, the features had their own specific pages that they could actually customize, and that they had their own store and all that stuff. So if we go with that same concept with the farmers,
perfect.
And that they have they've got a place where they can do their videos. They've got a place that they can set up for individual sales, like maybe that is their link to like the consumer's end, like restaurants and that. I don't know if if a direct buy to an individual through the individual farmer sites are going to work. I think there is when the co-op would be better, because the co-op, these they're already there, right? They're all over the place. We just have to tune into them and get them together.
I think they have co-ops.
The thing is, once you meet a co-op, they're going to have 100 lists, a name of at least 100 other co-ops. It ain't like, I mean, just
farmers.
Just so you know, it works to our benefit, but in one way, at least. But you need to realize when you go to these people, it ain't like this is the first time they've ever heard of something like this, because they're in a co-op. So obviously they have the same idea as you, and we want to help them take what they got and
Obviously, I
and-
never
and
heard
get
of
as
them,
much out of it
so
as they can.
how is it that we can make it so that other people like me can learn about these co-ops?
Yeah, exactly. Co-ops are there, but a lot of people don't even know about them.
Exactly.
That co-op that Pete was part of, I guarantee they would have liked to had a lot more customers.
One of the big
Yeah.
ones that nobody
Yeah.
knows about, and I wish
You
I
said
knew
you were
somebody,
part of one and you were
is-
still throwing away vegetables. You said
is the
watermelon.
dairy.
Right.
Is the dairy the only way that you can purchase raw milk
They won't
is
let you do it. You gotta go to Mulligan's, and we bought it at Mulligan's till like 8 years ago now.
Cow share program.
it's a cow share program.
Oh yeah.
That's the only way to legally get around it. It's
You
a cow share
own that
program.
cow.
What, you just walking around door to door?
No. Bessie's here.
Bessie,
Come on out and milk her.
come get your milk. Straight
But
from the cow.
again, so this is just resources. One of the other things right now is, besides the co-ops on the map, we should also have the farmers markets with their hours on the system as well. Because how many times were we looking for farmers markets? We went to
About
one
the
farmers market
community
that was
gardens.
listed as a farmers market in Google. It was a freaking store.
Yeah.
Freaking store.
With
What was it?
It was
a store,
listed
like
as a
gift
farmer's
shop.
market.
People made stuff and sold it. Yes, they might have been from a farm.
But it was like overpriced, stupid shit. It wasn't.
It was like a gift shop, and they
It
were
was
trying
like
to
a
pay
gift
for
shop.
their little location that was super cute on the corner.
Hmm.
So, I mean, a lot of time, consignment and that, yeah.
Something else that needs to be like brought to people's attention. Well, at a seed bank, we can when we hook up with Grace, we can get her. She has a lot of seeds, but she has a guy coming to her functions that has.
Seed
Every
bank?
ti- I mean,
is that like a
like
seed
water-
share program?
Well, I don't know how it works, but he was just like when I was at the festival that she had. He was just handing me all kinds of. My dad loves muskmelons, and he has one garden that's nothing but watermelons and muskmelons, and
I had a
he
farmer.
had
One
18
tree.
different types of cantaloupe,
Mm.
and these are vegetables that you can grow in your garden, and when they're done, you can take the seeds out of them and save those for next year, and you grow them. Anything you buy at Home Depot or Tractor Supply, any of that shit, you can't regrow it. I don't know if you know that or not. But
It's one and done.
that
That's
those are made
Monsanto
for
stuff.
those are made for one-time growth.
Wow.
The chickens that you get at Tractor Supply, you don't go. I made that mistake. I went there and got chickens, and my chickens weren't bad. My mom and dad went back because I ended up dumping my chickens off with them. So when they started getting thin, they went in to buy some, and they all had defects, and they're not chickens that you want to use to have eggs to reproduce and keep having chickens because they're fucked up. They're all fucked up. You don't want to use those things.
I think we can agree that capitalism has exploited the food system, right? And that capitalism has taken a farmer's market or a store and made them pretend we're a farmer's market just so they could get on a network to do sales.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody's on a hamster wheel to pay their bills. And everybody's got to increase their profits so they can pay the tax man. And it's just one big, ugly infrastructure that we can't overcome. However, what we can do is provide a resource for people to be able to actually get in touch with direct people to be able to do direct business. And I think what you really got to watch out for is anybody that's trying to exploit the system, right? We got to have perhaps some ground rules or at least some sort of mantra that, typically when you deal with people, it's a what's in it for me situation. And I think we have to be the anti what's in it for me network.
Well, there's something to be said with being
What's it-
able to go in and leave reviews in that, but it's something that I intentionally left out of my website because you get somebody who's spiteful and comes in,
Basically, it's a platform. We just start out with some
maybe
YouTube
just need to
videos.
police internally.
We do some interviews. We interview farms and farmers, and I think it's going to be a what's wrong with the society today, or what's wrong with the food distribution today, and then just build from there. Because I think what we're really trying to do, isn't it? Aren't we trying to redefine the way that food is distributed?
Not just that, but redefined the classifications so that people
What's food? What isn't food?
what's food and what isn't. Because I avoid the grocery store because I end up with so much anxiety. It's
You drive
gotten
around,
to the
look at
point where
everything, and you start thinking about what's in this. Do I really want to put that in me? You know.
I decided to say, what the hell, because Amy and I had gone to a farmer's market and had agua fresca, and it was really good. And Amy just kept talking about it. Well, they had canned agua fresca at Dollar Tree, and at first I'm like, it's no big deal. I'm gonna get it for her. And so it was in the cart, and I'm in line, and I made the mistake of looking at the label, and I put it back. The scary thing is that now it doesn't matter. You have to read the labels of the food that you get, because the bigger companies are buying out these healthy companies and then changing their recipes.
What was it that you got put back?
It was agua fresca by the Coca-Cola company, so I should have known. And honestly, that's why I read the label finally, is because it's like, oh, this is Coke, I can't trust it. But the crazy thing is, the seltzer water that we both drink, you got to be careful now and watch those too, because in one brand, you can have good, and then this flavor has got freaking aspartame in it.
Even the ones that don't have any sweetener at all, that don't have any.
You got to read them now. You got to read them now, because we went.
I can usually taste that shit the second I.
Yeah, sucralose and all that. Yeah, and I know of people that have allergies to those things.
People
Like
need to
side
see, when we look at this
reactions.
over a historical thing, like 100 years from now, maybe look back and be like, isn't it funny that in this period of time, the average age of humans dropped way down, and the amount of birth defects and kids with autism and all this shit just blasted through the roof.
But the thing is,
They didn't know
most of that
about
is
it.
Right here. Most of it's right in the United States. The
All
United
of it's in
States
the United States.
is
There's
Is
coffee that the only country that'll buy it is United States, and it's coffee that we buy every day. And coffee's the worst. If coffee isn't organic, and even at that, you don't know what you're buying if it's organic. That's the whole idea of what we want to do, is make it so you can go to if you want to, you can drive to the farm and see where they grow that, so you know that it's not 3D printed in Shanghai and
well, not
loaded
just that,
onto
but
a
you
truck.
can get even if you don't drive there, you can get a virtual tour.
Yeah,
Here's
whatever. Yeah,
So when I was a kid in the 80s, I remember the pesticides, and I remember thinking how whatever they would do to manipulate would come at a cost. Am I the only one that had those thoughts?
No, I grew up. My parents, if God didn't make it, man tried to make it, and somehow, if man makes anything, it's like you can't. When we were restructuring the DNA, we forgot about it's too complex.
It goes out of balance when people try doing it. Yes,
we
it
killed
loses
all
its
the
balance.
mosquitoes, but now we also
Created another problem. And
now we've got
So
all
that's
the
a pretty common thread for us old folk, I suppose, huh?
No,
And what about when you were...
I'm the anomaly. I'm the anomaly, because I hate to admit that I actually believed what they told me in school. I trusted.
I believe for a long time I trusted.
I trusted the pharmaceutical industry. I trusted the food industry.
I trusted
it
the
wasn't
education.
It wasn't until
I
very,
didn't- my
very
parents-
recently, last 10 years or so, that my eyes really have gotten opened up. And now that fucking my eyes got ripped right out of my head, and I was like, look.
Yeah.
Have you guys ever been like me back in the day, where I said, well, they'd never let that happen?
Yeah, they would never let that happen. Not in the United States.
Mm-hmm.
That couldn't get by.
And
Yeah.
who have you ever wondered
To a
who
point, yeah,
is they?
Yeah, you always think that there's this group that's out there to look out for you. And that group has to be you.
Mm-hmm.
it has to be you because there's tricksters everywhere. It's the world of snake oil salesmen and our government, the mafia, you know.
The
They
healthcare
try
system
shutting
too.
people down and shaming them and go right to assassinate people. I mean,
My grandparents came from Germany, and my grandmother always, there were vitamins, and my grandpa took so many vitamins that they told him he was probably overdosing on them, but they gardened everywhere they went, even, because in Germany, even if you lived in the city, up in the upstairs apartment over a store, you had a little piece of land right by somewhere, and you took care of your garden. That was your garden, and that was the way that they lived. And my grandmother, she said, "Ugh, those Americans, one wrong fart and they run to the doctor." And so it was home remedies and vitamins and eating vegetables, and yeah, that was what they believed. We didn't live like that. I wanted the Wonder Bread and wished that I could eat the refined stuff, but as a kid we were making our own homemade bread, and
you're healthier because of it. Because white
My
bread,
parents-
when your white bread come out, they watched health disease over double. Sliced white bread because they bleach it.
Cardiovascular,
Yeah, they
it went, they call them infarctions, which is incidences of cardiac arrest and stuff like that, went like this. And they say that when the term "the best thing since sliced bread," that is the like the benchmark. When that term is when they introduced processed, not fortified.
You guys remember the year that everybody, this was in the 90s, when everybody got really against cholesterol and quit, you know, like, oh man, I can't eat that steak, you know, it's my weight problem, because the sugar company was pissed because people were trying to be healthier, and they weren't buying as much. They're trying to buy things that wasn't full of sugar. So the sugar industry started a rumor, and it was all just a rumor, and it was totally bullshit. It wasn't true at all that sugar isn't what makes people fat. Fat is what makes people fat. Mm-hmm. So everybody started not worrying about eating sugar and quit eating anything that. I know avocados.
Gluttony.
Avocados that year, the avocado farms took a hit because avocados are nothing but fat.
Yeah.
And all these people were afraid that they were going to get fat. They ate avocados. Instead, they just went and bought a bunch of candy and ate it.
I just
because
watched
candy
a
isn't bad for you.
video.
Sugar isn't bad for you.
Yeah.
And sugar, if you look at it, is the one thing that, like, the indigenous don't. You know, the only sugar they really get, if it's not sugar right out of the earth, and that's a different type of sugar. When you eat a strawberry, it's a different type of sugar. It goes into your body differently, but
Americans, we want everything in excess.
The sugar that we eat is what's caused the cancer. If there was no
Lucky
sugar,
Charms is above red meat on the food pyramid. It's supposed to be better for you than red meat.
what's so bad about red meat?
Well, I'm just saying that just shows the corruption there.
You know,
Harder
we don't.
to digest.
The corruption or the misinformation.
Misinformation.
Yeah.
I just watched another
Misinformation
thing
is
where they were
kinda
talking
corruption,
about
though, because it's
Yeah.
a way to lie to people.
If it's intentional,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, it's intentional to lie to people as a way to market something. Like this year, we'll just cut back on the dairy. And I remember they come out and they're like, milk is really bad for you after all the drinking milk commercials. And I used to drink milk. I'd stand there next to the fridge drinking milk, thinking I was going to be strong someday. And then next thing I know, they're like, "Don't drink milk. It's got." And we listened to that. I remember my dad, you know, and I were like, we're not drinking as much milk because they just come out and said it's bad for us. Now we look back on that and like,
Who's they?
who's they? Exactly. You
Do you know
know,
why there's
study that they paid for.
carbohydrates on the food label?
Uh-uh.
Because they found that when they first did the food labels, if they just spelled out just sugar, that there was so much sugar in the stuff that they had to figure out a way to reclassify it. Technically, starch is a double sugar, but starch being a double sugar doesn't mean anything, because as soon as it hits our tongue, our saliva instantly changes it back to sugar, but that allowed them to classify starch
Yeah.
as carbohydrates, so they didn't have to put all the sugar that's really in the stuff. And it's
So it sounds like to me that there is a they, and this perceived they attempt to try to help us, but every time they try to help us, they end up creating these rules, and then these rules are bypassed because there are other interests that seek to get around those rules, right? So that would lend credibility to Tony's initiative to redefine, to create a dictionary, to create some sort of
true terminology.
true terms.
True terminology.
But then-
and I, when
We
we're at
learn
the
too.
grocery
It says
store,
we learn and
we're
change.
But what's the problem here, guys?
we're gonna look at this, and if we see something that doesn't jibe, we're Googling it. But when you Google it, there's no guarantee that what you're really, the definition that you're seeing, because Google's for sale just like everybody else.
What's the problem, though? They're always one step ahead, aren't they? Every time they make a rule, they're one step ahead on how to turn that sugar into a carbohydrate. Even though it tricks you, it seems that these people that have these interests are one step ahead of any rule that comes out.
Because they make the rules.
Well, you got also you're studying and learning, and we're always advancing in what we know as humans, you know. And so, what we learned yesterday, we learned today that that's, you know, just in 6 years of my kids being, I was pregnant 6 years apart, and they were telling me different things from just 6 years. You know, do eat this, don't eat that, you know, and then it changed.
What about this?
Aspartame was what it was. I had gestational diabetes, and
What about this? I mean, these people that are making these rules aren't they? I mean, they can't be undereducated, right? They go to school, they get all this education.
well, they're learning, and it's who's teaching them.
But I'm trying to define our initiative. Like, really, 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 what is our initiative? And it seems like that these corporations are so quick to do the carbohydrate dance, to do the sugar dance, to define it as carbohydrates. Okay, that's okay. Well, then we're going to slip it in a different way. That's what I think is the watchdog aspect of what we can do.
It's to take the trickery out of the food business.
Our name
Don't you
in itself is already headed in that direction. When you talk about government, you talk about transparency. When you talk about food, you talk about transparency. Right now, we've got labels that are a mile long. They're not transparent. They don't say this is...
Wasn't the whole initiative to put a label on it was to help the consumer?
Yes, but
Well,
as
yeah,
soon as you
because
did
now
that,
I,
then
They started
by
changing.
law,
Then you
I have to see what's in there.
And now it's a
Supposed to
trick.
Write down.
It's a trick. What Tony's saying is
They
that
found ways to
To hide
to manipulate the
Well, all their natural flavors. That is what you're
Yeah.
saying under
all
the
natural.
list?
The world all natural is the biggest crock.
No, but I mean natural flavorings. What is natural flavorings? What
Yeah.
is that? And that's listed as an ingredient.
so now we've got somebody in a think tank from Kraft that's saying, gee, you know, the government says this, so how do we get around that? Is that what's happening, really?
what is happening is, and this comes back to when we were kids in the 80s, you remember the full-on attack on the cigarette industry. Do you remember, you remember we were getting freaking Marlboro t-shirts and it was popular. Then all of a sudden they made it go away. The reality is that tobacco industry, they got spanked and they got their business taken away from them, but they still had all their money. So what they did is they invested heavily in all of the food companies.
Yeah.
And what did they do very well? They made things addictive. What is addictive in our food is sugar. And the reason that they're putting aspartame in is aspartame is so much more addictive than regular sugar that they're now adding aspartame to other things with sugar. Even though it's a fake sugar, they're adding it in to make it more addictive.
So
That
it's
is the reality of the situation. That's why That's why we're making things clear.
So
I guess
go ahead, Amy.
I don't look at it as sinister at times. I look at it as we have governing agencies that are looking out for us. So they have forced people to write a list of ingredients so I can see what's on there. And I trust that that's what's on there. I know that there are people getting around it. And I do know that there is science behind, and the big, those guys are the ones that are hiring the scientists to make things addictive. That's different than what I believe that overall it comes down to. I want people to eat it and it tastes better, so they're gonna eat it. I put sugar in something, it tastes better. It's just, you put a little sugar in your spaghetti, it's just a
Sugar is
little
good.
bit.
I mean,
Yeah, and we all
to
like
make
it.
a pie
So I
without
think-
sugar.
Exactly. So, but Americans, we're used to having the taste of sugar from very early, and it's like
Making something out of sugar, though, is different than buying something that's high fructose corn syrup. Because when you make something that's out of sugar, normally you're using real sugar to make it. You know, when you make a homemade pie, I know all the pies that you buy that are.
it's cheaper to get high fructose. I mean, that's what I think.
Yeah, it is
that
cheaper,
you're
but
trying to
it's also
manufacture this
quicker
food
to break us
a lot
down, and now
more,
we realize that they have made
it's
it a
cheaper.
point. Like, no, even if it costs us a little bit, let's get these people poisoned. We got a job to do here. So how I feel like,
Well, I
I
feel
could be
they've
a little,
weaponized
I think it's
a little
food.
conspiracy
it's cheap.
theorist there,
It's
but I
chemicals are
really
cheaper.
feel like.
Then natural,
But
heavy
what
cream,
about
but-
fluoride? They got to pay to go put fluoride in our water. Some of the things they do to poison us actually cost some money to do it. They're not putting fluoride in our water because they're worried about our teeth.
No.
They're
They're
putting
putting it
fluoride
in
in our
because it
water
makes
because
us
it
dumb.
helps condition us to be
It
passive.
makes us dumb and pliable.
Makes us easier to push around.
So getting back to the thought process is essentially we've got this cabal, the food cabal. We'll just call it a cabal.
Yeah.
That intends to place profits over health, right? And isn't that kind of our mission, is to flip that?
Yes.
Okay. So Amy, have you written that down? What have you written down?
specifically about this, what do you mean?
Well, don't we got to kind of flesh out kind of a mission statement here?
Yeah, I'm just writing
What do you
down
got?
kind of some stuff.
What do you
Clear
got?
Food Net, these are like minutes or whatever. Define what it is. A network, the bringing people together. We're going to redefine the way food is distributed and define what is food. Cut out the middleman, the farmer to consumer. Tap into the DoorDash or Amazon delivery. Definitions, organic or free range. Have our own definitions of it. Do a video series, interview how to prepare this week's vegetable harvest, interviews like Grace from Camp Compost, holistic healing, education, growing foods, interviews. We want to get interviews from and get the farmers together, put them on the website, plug the farmers into that website, have a co-op map, farmers markets, and we're going to be an anti-what's in it for me type of organization. Maybe have a seed bank. We're going to police internally.
So those are a lot of good ideas.
This is just all stuff that I'm writing as people are talking.
So are we sincerely looking to be an advocate for the human?
Yeah.
Okay, write that down. To be an advocate for the human. Is that fair enough? The statement in and of itself, does that sound good?
Okay? Yes.
Okay, so we're an advocate for the human. Because my thought process is like this. We're up against
human?
a lot of money. We don't have any money.
Throws a negative in. I think we're an advocate of and for the people.
Okay, advocate of and for the people. So again, my point though is that we're up against a lot of money. We're up against billions and billions and billions of dollars of interests that seek to guide, steer, and manipulate the way things happen. And we're here to disrupt that. Yes? Okay.
And the only way to do that is together.
And also to create a platform where people are going to want to throw money at this. So when Amy looks at that food package, she says, gee, this list of ingredients is really helpful for me. but Tony's like, well, gee, they tricked you because, instead of sugars, they're cloaking it as carbohydrates, but when it hits your mouth, it instantly breaks down into this and that. So there's got to be some sort of exposure, right? There's got to be some sort of disclosure project initiative that helps this come to pass to be able to achieve our end, which is to be an advocate for the human, or whatever you said.
Yeah.
So we have to create a interest for money to find its way to us to be able to do our project. So
Yes, but as soon as we open ourselves up to money, we also open ourselves up to control by somebody with money.
well,
Which
then
is
we
how
define
the
that.
world works.
We'll define that. But for now, what I'm thinking is that these, for one, I need to know, I really need to feel like they're not tricking us. So at what point do we say, okay, let's take that cheese and test it and say, sure, they got this, this, and this, and this, but what about this? They didn't mention that on the label. At what point are we?
Honestly, that is going to be probably beyond our scope, and I
Okay.
think that because once we try to get into testing in that, I think we're spinning our wheels.
So then we're backing up. Then we're not really an advocate for the human, because we can't be unless we're going to go and be a watchdog. We can't be a watchdog. So
No,
let's
we
back
can
up
be
that
an
thought.
We can be an educator.
So we can be an educator. So let's change our definition, Amy. What did we write down in terms of our definition?
I don't remember where.
We just wrote it down. To be a advocate for the human or something.
Oh yeah, advocate for the human, for and of the people.
All right. So we're really not going to be an advocate, but we're really going to basically provide a resource to connect truth with truth, truth with humans, truth and food. Help me. Because that's what we're really doing, is we're really trying to connect people with clarity.
Yeah.
Clarity in food.
Yeah, so that they can make an educated decision on what they eat.
So then our purpose when we go to see Grace, Steve, is we're going to try to create a network where we can connect people with good food. Is that right, Tony? Is that where your thought is?
Yes.
Okay. So Grace, I'm here. My name's Steve. I need to talk to you because you were the first one that came to my mind. We really have a heart and a passion to be able to connect people with good food. What do you think? Is that the clarity of the conversation that you need to have or want to have, or is there a purpose?
I just needed to know what it is that we're looking, what I know what you guys' mindset is as far as organic food and all that. I just didn't
Kind of flushing out the purpose.
It isn't like we have something that we're doing and we've been doing this. We got this idea. It's like I got a garden planet or something. And this is what what do we have so far? Really nothing. Other than some good ideas.
Right.
We've got a good name.
So
So, but we still have, isn't everybody
Well, we're
else
talking
kind of
about
trying to do
platform.
this,
He's got
Steve?
the platform started.
Isn't that what you said? That, hey,
Well,
we're no
I
different than
think
anybody else in these networks.
We're really not.
So how do we become different?
We don't have to be different, dude.
Well,
Look at Facebook. Facebook eclipsed. I can't even remember the name of it now. What did it take out?
MySpace.
MySpace.
Uh-huh.
It wasn't really any different than MySpace at all.
So we're not trying to be different. And so these other co-ops are trying to basically connect
We're not
local
gonna be
with
a
local,
co-op. All
right?
we are is we are a place where people can go to find that co-op.
I'm just going to tell her. I'm thinking it's going to go in the direction of, we want to be able to link people with better food.
Period.
It's a
We
big
want to
one.
link people with good foods that they want. How can you help us if you know the right people, or can we? What do you have to offer to us as far as food that we can bring people to you, or because
Well, we'd like to interview her
Yeah,
because
and-
she's there. what is an organic farmer? You know, I thought about going to Gravy, but Gravy's so full of himself.
Yeah.
You know, I will probably still.
There's no
include
way to
Gravy,
do this
but
without involving him some way or another because he has
all
lot
the
of resources.
he has the contacts.
Yeah.
But you know, so does Grace, and Grace, at least to me, is a little bit more grounded in. I thought he was in it for the commune, for that whole concept, and I've kind of come to realize.
Pussy, actually. Believe it or not, I mean,
A lot of pussy on that commune.
well, there's always some good-looking girls over there, but
He's always leading the yoga retreats and all that stuff.
He's always like,
Is he like?
he told me, he's like, dude, I ain't never had a girlfriend, and I was like, what do you mean you never had a girlfriend? He goes, what's the sense of you got a girlfriend? That limits the amount of women I can sleep with if I have a girlfriend.
So he likes the hair under the armpit kind of thing.
I don't know if he gets into that. He might get into cockaball thing too. As far as I know, I've never went to bed with him.
Probably should edit this back out.
All right, we'll edit that out.
Probably should.
Yeah.
All right, so back to the purpose.
Yeah.
Basically, long story short, in short order, what we're going to try to do is put together a basic structure so we can interview some farmers. We want to fast track that, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I feel that those videos is what's really going to start pushing them towards the network.
So that's the basics. We're going to fast track some interviews. So we want to get in front of some farmers with some basic interview questions and just enjoy the process, right? Mm-hmm. That's kind of the basics. Does Grace fall under that basic interview structure? So you really don't have to do anything with Grace than say, hey, you know, maybe at some point we want you to be a part of something big, but in the beginning stages, we just want to do some simple interviews and we want to post it on our YouTube. Is that okay?
Let's establish some questions, get some questions like what
Okay.
what is the purpose of the interview? You want the interview so that you can put it on a website. For what reason?
Yeah, we can even tell Grace, hey, you know, we can drive some, you know, popularize your name. You know, because it goes back to the what's in it for me, for Grace, because if she does want to promote her business, this is a platform perhaps for her to do that, right?
She's touchy. She might be all about that, but knowing her, she might be like, I don't want to be careful what I link my business to, because I remember when she was considering doing ayahuasca, she came and hung out all night waiting for Ryan and Adi and everybody to show up because they'd hit a deer on the way and totaled their car on the way up to Michigan.
Yeah.
And I remember when Ryan got there, she had all these questions she didn't think he would have the answer for, and he nailed every one of them. She had an instrument that her ma gave her from that was some South American instrument that she'd never heard of. She didn't know how to play it. And Ryan picked it up and just took off with it. He's like, oh yeah, my shaman had one of these. And I could see that she was making sure, and then she didn't even end up doing it that night. She didn't do it, but she said she would now. She's like, now that I met Ryan, but she goes, but if he comes with somebody, I want to know what they are and what they, because I don't want to link any of that bad, because what it was too, I was interested in using her yurt for a cold season ayahuasca circle, and she wanted to know what is this gonna what is this gonna bring any type of negative publicity to her name or any type of she's real careful about what she steps in.
So it seems like a what's in it for me type of person.
Well, not so much what's in it for me, just
Sounds like a cautious person.
Why do I
I'm
just
all right with
I just
that.
want to be
Time.
careful what I tie myself to.
Yeah.
Because she's like, a lot of people, I remember her saying there's a lot of people out there that talk. She goes, and I got no problem with that, but don't waste my time with a bunch of talk, I'm here to get shit done. Let's get shit done. Let's do shit.
Okay, so that's fine. She can do her shit. We just need to interview her. Do we really need to interview her?
I would like to interview.
Yeah, I think
Okay.
that would be nice.
I think it would. I think it would
I
be
need
very
to,
beneficial.
what I need to do
You need
is
to get the
go
passion.
there and be more interested in what she does to get an idea of what exactly do you do. I know that do you sell your vegetables? Do you just grow your vegetables? Do you sell some of your products that she makes from all the shit she grows? But basically she is what a good example of You know, because you figure we might be putting something together that's eventually going to turn into more than just food, like lip products, like back ointments for your, you know, for whatever things that are, you know, herbal remedies and dandelions and teas. That's another thing that, and kombuchas. I mean, that's what I like when I go to the camp compost. I come home with 2 or 3 gallons. I mix that. They'll have peach and grapefruit and all these different types of kombuchas. I just dump them in together and come home with a couple gallon jugs of that.
So Steve's got a great thought. At some point, it's going to turn into more than just a food network. But our name is Clear Food Network.
Well, remember, we said that the farmers would be able to have their stores.
Food as medicine, though.
So we're back to thinking in terms of definition.
Yeah.
What is food?
Medicine. Things can be medicine. You know, you can take dandelion root and you can use dandelions for food. You can use it as teas. You can use it.
Yeah, dandelions are needed by people. We've been taught get that out of your yard. And I learned a lot about dandelions.
So the basic thrust right now is some interviews, get some contacts to start our interviews. Once we do that, aren't we going to be in a better position to make some more clear decisions about the direction?
Sure.
Okay.
And we can start doing outlines of how we want things to work, because then we can hand those to the developers. So when they do the sites, you know, because as you are way more in this than me as far as on the tech end, but what I'm picturing is when you come into it, when you first come in, there's a map, you know, find a co-op or market near you, but then you can go into the individual co-ops, and that co-op will have all their farmers inside of their network. So each of those individual farmers has the option of having his own little site inside of the whole thing. So when you go to the end producer, then you can actually start to see his social media and that. And one of the other things is like I said, we're going to make sure that everything is all tied together. So when they're making posts, we want them to have the Clear Food Network hashtag with their stuff and our hashtags that we develop.
So basically, it's just a network.
It's just a network.
Start some videos, and we get Steve some basic questions right now, right?
Yeah.
That's what we need to do. And then if Steve goes out there alone with a camera, he can do it alone with a camera, or I can go with him, or Tony, or all of us.
I'd like us all to go out if we can.
Then we do a basic interview. Grace, we're going to post this on our YouTube channel. We have 1 follower right now. No problem. Done deal. Then we'll see you in the spring, because we're going to do...
That follower.
Steve,
You guys need-
I'll follow too.
yeah, we need to get that.
Steve, you said something about planting some seeds ready for spring. Did you mean with our initiative, or did you literally mean planting some seeds?
No, I don't mean plant. I mean, like, if I'm gonna, because I would like to be able to take advantage of. My dad would be totally down to have something to give some of his vegetables to, so they wouldn't go bad. But I would like to be able to, if I, exist, I'm saying, I want to have an idea of what we're doing, because I would like to do some gardening and start working the property like I'm not working it right now. My dad's got 3 tractors. He uses them a little bit, but we got a bunch of property out there that, I don't really have any of the property. There's a little bit of it on Space Camp I could grow on.
You ever heard of Woofers? You ever heard of that program?
Nope.
Woofers is a program where farmers, it's a worldwide program. You go online and let's say I'm just a person that wants to go travel. I'm going to go contact you as a farmer over in Michigan, and I'm over here in Oregon or something, and I want to stay there and visit and basically
help work on my farm when you come. I've heard of that,
yeah, and it's
Yeah,
like
farmers
this whole
that travel around, like traveling nurses, traveling shit, that you go stay in somebody's farm and help them learn
Yeah,
a
and
That's
they
little
kind
bit.
of what
different-
Gravy's doing.
Yeah, I was gonna say that.
But there's a
almost
whole
sounds like
network.
what
It's
Gravy's doing.
woofer.com or something like that. And those people could be tapped into also.
Definitely.
Because you
definitely,
need people
because-
to help work the
Because
farm.
those people are the ones that go learn how to grow something neat and come, bring the.
I worked with a girl that did that.
So I'd really like to help those, or take Carl's leftover vegetables and get them to the people that need it.
Yeah.
So part of this initiative, in the spirit of giving back, would also be able to get these products to those that really truly need it. And this isn't a community action agency initiative, but this is like, I see people on the streets all the time. They got to be hungry. They got to be just like me. I can't afford to go into Aldi's and get my salmon.
You can drop it off at any of the shelters.
Shelter.
Yeah, that's how they feed the homeless, is by donations.
Okay.
There's
so,
another program that is Teen Challenge. Again, they only have what people donate.
So that, it seems really good to be able to
Alright,
offer
so,
that as part of our initiative.
We're gonna have to wrap this up. He's gotta get going. From here, where I think that where we're going, Bazna, you reach out to Grace, find out
Yeah, I'll
how
reach out to
quickly we
Grace. I'll
can
reach
get
out
to.
to Andy too. He wanted me to draw his logo for his food business. Do we need shit like that too? Do
Who
we
else
need-
did you say you're gonna reach out to?
Andy.
Andy?
Yeah.
We'll get you a list of questions and we'll post them on our YouTube channel.
And I wanted to pick his brain. I've never really had much of a chance because he's always at an event or something, or he's always.
Where does he live?
He lives up by Dearborn, or not Dearborn. He lives up by
So
Detroit.
are these gonna be video or
He's got
audio?
some property. It's all, he's got a big farm thing set up there. What's that?
Are they gonna be video or audio interviews?
Preferably video.
Video.
Video. Well, okay. So we gotta let them know because some people are weird about being on camera. So,
We're just asking if it's okay. If not, we just do audio.
mhm.
So it's not that big a deal.
Well, like I'm saying, like Amish people, if we're gonna be interviewing some,
So
Yeah, sometimes
on
they're weird
camera.
about their picture being taken.
yeah.
So we'll just start using the messenger group for people that we want to reach out to. I would like us to try to get together on a semi-regular basis and keep this moving forward.
So let's set a date for our first interview.
Well, we're kind of up in the air. He's got to figure that out.
Yeah, I gotta talk to her. I can't set a date if she's gonna be doing an interview. If she's not,
What did you want?
Just paper. I'm writing. There's no.
So, anyways, he'll figure that out.
What's our target then? End of
I
January?
would like this early this week if possible.
Oh,
but
you're even faster than that. I was thinking end of January. You're thinking end of this week.
No, I want to start getting materials so that we can start the ball rolling.
So we get
Farmers
Steve
are
a set
already
of
looking at
questions.
their farming books, seed books, right?
yeah, exactly.
So they're already planning their growing season.
Get Steve a set of questions so he can review them. He calls Grace, says, "Hey, just some basic questions. Would you mind going on camera?" Is that the long and short of it?
Yeah.
Okay. And then Steve says, we're
Amy
trying
and
to
I are
fast
pretty
track.
good Amy and I are pretty good at developing scripts. So we'll just develop a script, get it to Bazna, he can share it with them. Because that's the thing, when they have these people come on podcasts, they give them, so that they can be prepared and not get caught with their pants down. So they give them pretty much, this is what we're going to talk about.
So we fast track it, trying to get it. This is the end of December. So we say by the first week of January. By January 7th, Grace said we'd like to get an interview. Is that
Yeah,
right?
That's
In
good.
a perfect world, that sounds more than reasonable.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. Good job, guys.
Try and
gonna-
get it like as soon as possible. I don't want to scare her off.
No,
Because
no.
I
And if
did
you
that
come,
with ayahuasca,
if
trying
you
to get
come
her
in,
to do,
if you come in, you're right. If we come in half-assed, we're scaring away.
come
We
in
don't
like,
want to.
hey, we got this big thing going. It's just like, well, because it's one thing if I could go there and show her, but we're starting from the very basic of basic, and I have nothing to show her. It ain't like, I got a couple farmers. They're looking at some people they can, link up with or anything like that. I'm just, you know,
Good.
but yeah.
That's what we'll do. Get you some
Did you
questions.
bring that heat gun with you?
Yeah, it's out in the truck. What are you heat gunning?
Just some
Something here?
Yeah, just some.
Signing off,
If you want,
guys.
we'll just drop it back
I
off
wanted to
there.
ask you too, that laser thing, if you're